here. So back at another product review from Echo Water, which is their Echo Ultimate Hydrogen Water Machine. I've worked with Echo and when they were previously known by the name Synergy Science for the last 10 years or longer. And I've kind of been in the hydrogen space actually for about that period of time, which is about as long as it has been in this country. Maybe it was just a little late to the party, just barely by a year. So I've really looked at a wide variety of different hydrogen products. This one, though, is one of the best-selling machines on the market, technically. This company actually, it's probably like 100-to-1 ratio just to your average competitor in terms of these Echo units that can go under the sink or above countertop or also the portables. And there's a reason they sell internationally more than anybody else. They do have some very unique features and functions and some unique patents behind them. They weren't the first to ever create a unit like this. A lot of this stuff started actually overseas in Japan and China. However, they did pioneer and improve upon the technology in certain ways. And as far as other countries are concerned, have pretty much kind of led the way before. And other companies have kind of tried to copy them and followed suit afterwards. So they were kind of the main guy on the block for quite some time. And they still are the biggest at this point. So let's get into this particular model. They have a few different models, really many things you can choose from on this site. This one is, they're units that kind of look like this, I guess you could say this style, with a little dispenser over here. These guys generally are put above counters oftentimes, but if you do want to hide this away and get a special faucet for it, which you can see here, that is a nice little feature to have. And then you just have literally just this coming out of your sink, which you can control right here. That is actually kind of unique. I think there might only be one other company maybe that's offering something like that. So it's a nice way to kind of hide the machine, get out of the way versus something like this, right? And we'll get into why she's spraying this water over her bell pepper, is that, in a second, or whatever that is. I will actually explain that in a second here. So they give you a few different options, which I think is great, in different colors. So that's actually unique. And let's get into actually what is this machine producing. So this is their ultimate machine, or the most advanced one. That's why they give it that name. Because it gives you the broadest amount of functions and settings and features, which is all touchscreen here, as you can see. It does come in other languages too. Several of the other main languages, I think 12 languages, something like that. And it's also the same machine you can buy for Europe. It has different power standards already built in, which you can switch. So it doesn't really matter where you live, which I think is awesome. But let's scroll down here. So yeah, it's got the great touchscreen, which is really super nice and easy to use. And it makes 4 types of water. And that is actually, again, kind of unique. So let's say you roll up to this thing and you're like, well, I just want to enjoy the super pure water from some really great filters, which we'll get to in a second. I just want some really super purified filtered water. Well, you can go over there and just do that, okay? Just like, back in the day, everybody loved getting it from their refrigerator. Maybe you're one of those people, filtered water. Those are not the best filters coming off the refrigerator. But if you just want something convenient, some filtered water, that's it. That gives you that option. And you can just enjoy pure filtered water. But what if, you want to have some hydrogen water, a few times a day? Because the reality of the situation is, when a lot of people sometimes get machines, these types of machines, they oftentimes are producing hydrogen water all of the time. And it's like, well, should you be drinking hydrogen water as your main water source all the time? Hydrogen-rich water, I should say. And the answer is no. To keep it simple, there's a lot of studies, and we already know and discovered a long time ago in this area of research that there's a signaling response to when you do a certain minimum dose or concentration of hydrogen in a certain volume. And that cascade, a signaling cascade, lasts 3 to 4 hours after you consume. So you don't need to consume it all the time. And in fact, you can kind of dilute and confuse the cascade, confuse the signaling response. It's so much more technical than that. But basically, long story short, is you want to do a dose every 3 to 4 hours. So you come over to your machine and, we're drinking water all day, right? So you'll come over to your machine and, once a few hours have passed, you just have some more hydrogen water. And generally, what I also recommend, since hydrogen will dissipate, especially in an open glass quite quickly, you could store it. You could fill it up in a little stainless steel water bottle and seal it then drink that bottle wherever you are over a couple hours, and that's okay. It'll actually protect some of the hydrogen in there if it's a really good woven stainless steel bottle. So if you don't want to do it that way, then I suggest drinking a smaller amount, like 10 ounces, 12 ounces, and drinking it, just chugging it, just slowly drinking it within 5 minutes. And that way you get the biggest concentration. This machine produces 1.46 parts per million. And if you want to get close to the max of that, drink it pretty fast. Okay. So, and then the rest of the time you're just drinking filtered water is what most people do. Let's get into the acidic water. So what's really neat about this too is, let's scroll down here. So with the acidic water, this is also kind of unique in that you have options to choose varying pHs. Okay, so varying levels of acidic water. And this aspect of this type of machine, it's producing, by the way, hypochlorous acid. So you can look that up. I'll put it in the description below this video so you can look it up. There's a lot of amazing studies on hypochlorous acid. It's really therapeutic and also functional. Okay, so the acidic water, they kind of really pretty much explain it right here. But I actually use it in a variety of ways, kind of what they're showing here, because it is quite impressive again when you actually look up all the research on hypochlorous acid. So I do use it. Sometimes I spray it on my skin, my face. It's just, I'm not going to get too far into it, but it's good for maintaining the pH of your skin, fighting any bad bacteria that is in the pores, things like that. Has a really nice refining, astringent sort of effect, and it's just actually a good way to cleanse the face. So definitely good for also any other wounds, anything. I'll be honest, like any type of skin condition, hypochlorous acid is awesome because it has this effect that it also is a signaling molecule. So the immune system actually uses hypochlorous acid, long story short, in the body. So that's why it's really good for different related body things that the immune system would normally be involved with. Like, oh, you got a cut, or you got a weird rash, or your skin or your gums or whatever. Your immune system's involved in all these different aspects of maintaining your tissues. So you can use the varying levels of hypochlorous acid for so many things. I also put it in a nasal spray bottle. Some people use like a neti pot, that's fine. I use a nasal spray bottle, and every morning I inhale and snort it up my nose because it's awesome for literally just killing anything, any type of pathogen you're harboring in your sinus. If you have inflamed sinuses, allergy issues, whatever, great for that too. Again, you've got to look up how hypochlorous acid works. So cleaning with it, EPA, FDA say, listen, hypochlorous acid is one of the safest, most effective compounds. So it's like, wow, okay. Shouldn't we just be using it for cleaning everything and sterilizing everything? Yeah, pretty much, basically. So, we have other types of cleaning products, obviously, to get off grease and all other types of residues. You can still use that stuff, obviously. But when it comes to like sterilizing from a cleaning perspective, hypochlorous acid really can't be beat. I mean, you can go from spraying your counter or spraying whatever to spraying in your mouth. It's fine. It's totally safe. It's also great if you have kids, you don't have any residual, if you just want to have a clean house, not have chemicals around. It really is truly one of the best things you can use for sterilizing and cleaning. They say you can also use it for like meat and fish and stuff. That's pretty smart, depending on the grade of meat or animal products that you're buying. Sometimes it absolutely can have weird bacteria on it. And that bacteria will be dead in a short space of time if you just soak it in the water for a short period of time. 10 minutes, 15 minutes is already plenty. Some people use it for other things. A lot of dandruff and a lot of issues with the follicles in the hair and even hair falling out. If it's related to parasites, essentially, in the actual follicles, which is fairly common these days. And you can, again, look into that further. Hypochlorous acid is fantastic for basically addressing these little bugs that are eating and affecting the hair follicles and affecting the hair. So it is also a great thing to actually consider doing. So you can really replace some products here. You can keep yourself a lot healthier. Again, if you have any sort of skin conditions or wounds or anything, a bad burn where your skin is falling off, it can actually be like your on-the-go medicine that you can just dispense. So hypochlorous acid is really not talked about enough as far as the benefits of having a machine like this. It's really I don't know. You could say in many ways it's equally useful, you know, in terms of the value of also having hydrogen and just having pure filtered water. So not enough people talk about hypochlorous acid, but definitely look into it. Also, if you're one of those people that just has tricky skin conditions, things like that, you will be blown away. Eczema, psoriasis, things like that. That's all I'm going to say. Just spray it multiple times a day and see what happens. All right, so when it comes to the filtration, these cartridges really are actually using some of the latest, best cutting-edge media. The media is the compounds that are inside layered in the cartridges. The testing standards, this is some of the best you can do with 5 stages, to be honest. When they say 99% is not like super accurate, it's actually going beyond 99%. But when you actually reference the exact compounds that are being removed, and all those tests are available if you do want to check those out. But I want to bring this up just because when you see like machines above counter or below sinks and stuff like that, you just really do want to make sure that the standards that they are using, and then also the media that they're using in the cartridges, are the best. Like there's certain media, there's like, let me give you an example. There's a couple ways to remove copper, okay? There's a couple ways to remove lead. There's a couple ways to remove aluminum, you know, that are mainstream, let's just say. But is there a way that's the best, right? So some media in some cartridges will have more of one particular media that's having it's interacting with the chemistry, okay, of the water, obviously, with those different elements and pulling them out. And yeah, again, having media that is more special, like has shown the highest affinity for a specific element. Obviously, you want more of that. Now, some companies, I mean, most companies know that, make cartridges. It's just that some of these companies will not have as much of a certain ideal media simply because it costs more money. That's it. That's the main reason. Some things are literally 3 to 4 times as much, and that adds up. And companies are just cheap, and they know consumers won't really look into it, and they might be happy with things like 95% removal of something, right? And you're thinking 95%, well, it's definitely better than just drinking the tap water, and that is absolutely true. 95% is not bad, but can you do better? Yeah, of course. I mean, you can even go beyond this and actually get medical grade water and drink that. I mean, that's even possible. You can go beyond this. So that's the whole point. It just depends on what your standards are at. This is important, glyphosate removal. Generally, when you go digging, you'll find that actually a lot of water filter companies or products do not remove this very well, or do not even have the testing, third-party testing, if it is being removed. So that is actually a great selling point, especially nowadays. If you're not familiar with that, how bad and nasty that compound is, there's also a class action lawsuit. I don't know if it ended or it's still ongoing, but you can read all about how terrible it is. And the issue is like why this is an important point for removing from water and important to pay attention to is because, look, if glyphosate was just in water, it'd be like, all right, whatever, you know, it's not the biggest deal in the world. But unfortunately, we have contamination with this compound, which is it comes out of a certain pesticide. We have contamination with this compound like all over the place. So people are getting really, really high levels because there's so many things that are contaminated, things that you're likely eating right now. So it's like, okay, do we also need it in our drinking water? No. So you try to remove it, obviously, as many places as you can. So this is a nice thing to see. But get educated, do a little AI search, and get a little list of all the different things that have glyphosate residues that are beyond healthy levels. And just try to avoid those foods, basically, if you can. The cartridges, by the way, I could pop on that page if I wanted to, but you can go look and see that based on replacement and based on the cost of the cartridges, as far as the drinking pure filtered water, what this machine can do, it is actually one of the more reasonable costs. So in other words, their cartridges are more competitive than a lot of other brands that you'll see out there. And to be honest, part of the reason they're just more competitive is because this company is extremely successful. This is actually one of the most successful water companies in the world, like water technologies, I should say, is more fair. So, yeah, I mean, they are selling, you know, more at a better value, to put it simply. As far as alkaline levels, believe it or not, you can also choose 4 alkaline levels. So that's also unusual that you can do that. But what I appreciate about this company is they have always taught from the beginning that drinking alkaline water, like some of these other companies that I don't even need to name because I'm sure you probably have heard of them, those other companies are very deceptive about their false health claims around drinking alkaline water. This company is always educated that the benefits of these ionization machines is actually the hydrogen that's created. pH stands for potential for hydrogen. So the free rich hydrogen is really where the benefits come from. A lot of these other companies are deceptive and saying that no, the benefits are from drinking the alkaline water, which is a total scam. So in the FAQ down here, you'll literally see them bringing that up, that hey, we're also offering alkaline water because you can also use that for cleaning fruits, vegetables, and surfaces. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, by the way, and foods, you can actually look up, but some pesticide residues and stuff like that, some of that stuff dissolves better in one pH or the other, okay? And then when it comes to pathogens, from my knowledge, most pathogens and parasites, which are on all kinds of fresh produce and stuff, and foods, even processed foods, packaged, those things generally die more readily in acid water. So with hypochlorous acid, which is also the preference of what your immune system is doing in terms of producing that to kill pathogens. So I just wanted to point that out. They're using it mainly alkaline for cleaning. Now some people, if their stomach acid, as it says here, is truly caused by an excess of acid, which is more uncommon technically, then yeah, drinking a really strong alkaline water could for sure relieve somebody of some symptoms, and that's great, right? But that's a very small percentage of people. Most people that have acid reflux or feel acidic, it's definitely not like a producing too much acid issue. It's complex. It can have to do with nervous system, the esophageal like sphincter at the bottom where the stomach is. It can have to do with not producing enough stomach acid, which is usually the case. Now drinking hydrogen-rich water actually will help you, by the way, if you're not producing enough stomach acid, which is more common, especially as you get older. Drinking hydrogen water, that is one of the many benefits. It gives you the hydrogen that you need for for HCl and produced in the stomach acid. Okay, so HCl, right? When you look up that chemical compound to make that acid, the hydrogen is obviously an essential part of that component. Chloride is also a part of that component, just FYI, which is why you don't want to necessarily be too strict on cutting out truly healthy, clean sea salt, because that is one good source of chloride. So just FYI. So hydrogen will help with those types of situations. It helps with gut and digestive health in a wide variety of other ways as well. Okay. So I think that it covers about everything on the machine. The other thing I was going to say is they do have some kind of unique functions to how the plates, the cathode and anode, work in here compared to competitors. But one thing, and I'm just going to briefly mention this, is most of the plate materials that companies use is titanium, which is fine. It's great. It's great for cathode anodes. That's when the electricity runs to those, if you don't know, it actually is the thing responsible for splitting the water and releasing the hydrogen gas. It's also responsible for being able to change it's a part of the essential way of changing the pH of the water, part of the process as well. So there's a little bit more to it than that. Of course, like once these things change versus what ends up in your drinking water that's inside the machine. But essentially, what you then do with the titanium plates is coat them with platinum. And when it comes to that step of that process, this is one thing that really sets this company apart from others. It requires doing due diligence, really, from, say, some company out there that has a hydrogen type of ionizer sort of machine like this. You really got to do your due diligence on the actual process that manufacturer for that company is using, that factory, when it comes to putting platinum and coating it onto the titanium plates. Okay, And there is differences. There are some methods that are better than others, or more advanced breakthroughs with what we call platinum sintering technology, or platinum sintering method. And you can Google and look that up. So there is some patents based around, with this company, based around that process that's unique. So literally, again, no other company can copy Echo as far as how they're putting the platinum onto those plates, and how essentially those plates can last so long without having any oxidation issues. So there is issues with even some other popular brands you may have heard of with oxidation of the plates. And quite simply, it's like little flecks, almost little like specks on the plates in the platinum that basically start to oxidize, and which is like rusting essentially, and that can expose the other metal below, which is metal that you don't want necessarily to be involved in the ionization process and leaching into your water. Okay, and when I say leaching into the water, when I bring up that concept, that brings us also to another unique part of this machine, that not all machines will when it comes to splitting water like this, not all machines will separate the gas that comes off of the process, the hydrogen specifically, and put it through a PEM membrane and then pump it into the water reservoir, or the water that's flowing through the machine and being filtered on demand. Not every machine out there really actually does that. Very few will actually separate that out. And a lot of these machines that you see on the market, most of them, when you drink that water that you're drinking has actually come into contact with the plates, the cathode and the anode, which is a no-no. And the reason it's a no-no is because of what I just explained before. Is that, well, there's a couple of reasons. But one is, if there is some oxidation eventually of that plate, you could have potentially some leaching of like heavy metal ions of metals that you don't want in your body. Okay, like you don't want titanium ions, lots of them, drinking it all the time. So that is an issue, even with a very well-known brand out there that starts with the letter K. That can be an issue. The other thing is that a lot of these machines also do not have a specialized port for off-gassing the additional gases that aren't necessarily good for you, that also happen as a byproduct of splitting water through these methods. So there's other gases, you just don't want to be drinking all the time, and those are separated out and put out through a port, okay, off-gassed. So again, a lot of machines that might even look similar to this, they don't do that. Okay, so you do also have to watch out for that and do your due diligence if you're looking into anything else, and can absolutely confirm that they're off-gassing, essentially, the things that you don't want in your water. And the only thing that is being put into your water, gas-wise, again, of course, is hydrogen, right? Which combines in the water and it forms the molecule H2, two hydrogens bonded together, okay? They end up in a little bubble, and that's how you actually ingest it, all right? So just want to share those super important pieces. When it comes to also the plates, the last thing I'll say about this machine that's unique is the reason why this machine is able to produce either 1.4 or 1.5, whatever, parts per million consistently for years and years and years, okay, the reason it can do that without also needing to be opened up and cleaned on the cathode, which another very mainstream brand you have to do. The other reason why it produces a stable amount of hydrogen is because of the water that is coming into contact with the cathode anode. They're actually flipping the polarity on those plates rapidly, many times a second. And I could go deeper into this, but it's probably going to lose some people and it's a little boring. But basically, the last thing that you want is you do not want any minerals from the water of a certain charge cationically bonding onto, let's say, the cathode, for example. If you have mineral buildup on that metal, that negatively impacts the ability to split the water and produce enough hydrogen, okay? So that's a very common issue with these types of, I'm just going to refer to them as ionization machines. So that's a very, very common issue with most brands. And I just kind of mentioned and hinted at in the manuals of a lot of these other ones, they say, oh, well, you know, depending on if you're drinking this amount or producing this amount, you should open up the machine and soak those plates essentially in a strong acid solution, you know, for several hours every 1 to 2 weeks or whatever it is. And it's like, oh my God, most people don't even know that. Most people who are using those other machines. And also, isn't that extremely inconvenient? So imagine if you had this also at a commercial location where you were drinking a lot, or you had a large family. Every single week, you would have to be cleaning the plates essentially, which is like, I don't think your average consumer is going to want to do that, or want to buy one of these machines then, right? If people really knew that's what it took. So it's pretty common, and you can do this test at home if you actually have one of these other types of brands. And you can go get blue reagent drops for testing hydrogen levels, and you can make some water with another brand of machine that's been, you know, making water for months and months, let's say. That's probably plenty long, and you can test and see what the actual hydrogen level is in there. So I've done this in the past with the other well-known brand that starts with the letter K, and you know, what we find is, even after a few weeks, the hydrogen produced amount is far under 1 part per million, far under that most often, very low. Whereas at the beginning, and then when you actually talk to a lot of people that use these types of machines, it's actually very common for people to share and say, you know, when I was first using the machine, the first few weeks or whatever it was, first month or so, I was really feeling it. I was feeling great, really noticing a difference in whatever. I was feeling good, you know, I was totally sold, right? Well, they generally are probably having pretty legit experiences, because that's their first foray or introduction to hydrogen-rich water, and it is pretty impressive when you've never had it, and if your body really needs it, you know, it definitely can give you a lot of different improvements in symptoms. But then, you know, very often I hear like, yeah, it was really, really good, and then it was kind of like, just kind of leveled off, or I just didn't really notice much anymore. And I'm like, oh, did you clean the machine? And they're like, no, I didn't. I could tell you about a lot of those conversations, heard a lot of those stories, because I've been in this niche for, I think it's been over 10 years now, as I said before. So I've had a lot of opportunities to hear all kinds of experiences, from inhalation of hydrogen to bathing in hydrogen to drinking hydrogen-rich water. So yeah, that's a common experience, and you never have to worry about that with these echo machines. You never have to. You just always be able to test that, and you can independently test it again if you want, as I said, with those drops, which you can buy anywhere. They used to sell them actually on the website, the old one. I don't think they sell it anymore on here, but if you just Google what I just said, hydrogen blue reagent testing drops, you can easily come across them online. So just have a little look-see, and then you can actually test things. But yeah, you can always test your echo machine too, you know, months later, after you've been using it a bunch, and see for yourself that the hydrogen produced amount is the same. By the way, last thing I'll say before I go here is, you know, the other reason why people get a unit like this that's just instantly on demand is, just to be clear, there is no waiting. There is no wait time for your hydrogen-rich water or your other waters that you can make, as I described. There is no wait time. It just is instantly pours out of the machine, okay? So when you get like a portable device for making hydrogen, which this website, of course, also sells, this company, if you get something portable, that's not hooked up to pipes, basically, then basically that type of situation, you know, there is a wait time for that hydrogen to be produced before you can drink it, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. The only exception is, let's actually see if they have it on here. The only exception is that there is actually a freestanding unit, not the pitcher, not the water pitcher. Let me just see if it is on this website yet. Okay, no, it's not up yet. But what will be coming soon is, imagine imagine basically like you go up to your counter model and it dispenses your water immediately. It's designed differently aesthetically than this, but it is not, you pour a water into the reservoir in the back, essentially, and it pulls the water from that reservoir tank and produces hydrogen water instantly on demand, like these guys, okay? Not like this, but like these guys, instantly on demand. And it does require electricity, so you plug it in. But what that other unit that's coming is, what's great about it is, for some people, is that you don't have to hook it up to your plumbing under your sink or wherever. So it does not require any pressure from a pipe to flow through it. It's just pulling from the reservoir tank. So that's a great little feature. Definitely over the last 10 plus years, for sure, there's been some scenarios that I've encountered with customers, and they just don't want to, for several reasons, right? They just want to have hydrogen someplace else where it's just inconvenient to try to run it into a water line. You know what I mean? And again, that's instant on demand. For something like the water pitcher or these flasks down here, why is it not? There it is. I was right at the top. So anything portable like that too. Again, you're usually going to wait about 5 to 10 minutes for the concentration to build up before you drink it, just to be clear, okay? You might even wait a little bit longer with this larger volume, depending on how rich you want that entire volume to be, and depending on how many people are going to drink that water, you know what I mean? But I just wanted to clarify that last point too. And since we're on this page, before we go, this device right here, when you put in water and you put salt in the top, it basically will run a charge through it and produce hypochlorous acid, which you can clean with. But again, if you get one of those other machines, you can also produce hypochlorous acid there too and use that for cleaning. But if you don't get one of those other machines, like the Eco Ultimate, you can just get this little spray guy, and that's all you need. You just need table salt and water, and you can basically make hypochlorous acid and use it to clean, or whatever the other purpose is, clean produce, things like that. Use it on your skin as well. If anybody has any questions about what I went over in this long video, or if you have any other questions about, just hydrogen in general, benefits, other products out there, water related, you can just find my email address below. That's the best way to get in contact with me anytime, 7 days a week. And if you have any questions, also you can leave them in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this video.